Hello and welcome to the most hated show in the black corner of the internet. That's right, it's your host, the whiteologist, Mr. Blows Your Minds, coming with another thought-provoking show. This is July 1st, 2019, and we have a little lineup for you today. Well, in Alabama, I seen a story where a woman named is MARSHAY Jones. Now, what's unusual about this story here is the fact that Marshall was pregnant, 5 months pregnant. Got into an altercation with an individual that ended up, they said, defended herself. But you would think, by me telling you that the individual who defended herself used the gun on Marshay, but listen to what ended up happening in this story and how it reversed and became on Marshall. Stay tuned for that. Did you hear that Dutch Railroad has decided that they're going to, in their involvement in World War II, with transporting Jews to the border so that they can get on the trains that would take them to the concentration camps? They're going to get reparations. Check that story out. Did you hear that this young white woman named Jordan Lindsay out there in the Bahamas enjoying the picturesque view, family outing, known place for people diving? Guess what? 3 sharks said. Yeah? Listen to this story. Again, you know, the old same. They say the apples don't fall from the tree. And, you know, they try to tell us that racism and all that is in the past. High school found out that, they're still doing the same old blackface and saying some things. Check this story out as I display it as we go on. Old Laura Ingrahams. You know old Laura Ingrahams on Fox News. There's an article she did talking about there's no do-overs, and that's that. Well, check this article out and some of the things she said in that article. In Utah, did y'all hear about that story where a man named Ayula Ajaji, I think Ajaji, right, killed this white woman up there, right? We're going to hear about that story, right? Brother named Sean Carolina. Yeah, you know how some of our people, you like going out, hanging out. Ain't nothing wrong with that. And then somebody's buying you drinks, filling you with that bat juice. In one way, it can put the S on your chest, and another way, it can what? Intoxicate you to help you off your square. Well, unbeknownst to him, he was being set up. Check this story out. And Democrats are to the point where they say, we don't want to talk about reparations. Can you believe that? I thought that that's what, election and people are asking for certain things, that's what they send you out there to do. Well, obviously, we just don't understand the game. Check this story out. Now, again, I am the most hated show on the black corner of the internet. Hello and welcome. I am your host, Mr. Blows Your Mind, and this channel is to report, articulate, insinuate, encode, deveil, spread good news, whether by news, video, websites, or quotes from publications. As I, your whiteologist, disseminate this kind of information, I ask that the creator of the universe be here, heart, soul, mind, and spirit, because why? The truth don't need no partner. As a descendant of the greatest people who created this land that you call the United States, we as BADOS could be Black Africans descendant of slaves, Black American descendant of slaves, or ADOS, American descendant of slaves. We give honor to our ancestors. And you know what my motto is? I'm never going to tell you what I heard. I'm only going to tell you what I know. Stay tuned for this broadcast. Hey, how's y'all doing, everybody? Again, this is your host, the Whiteologist, Mr. Blows Your Minds. Yes, I've taken a little hiatus due to the simple fact people a little slow, and I'm buried in the corner. So, I have to go and recoup, right? So I had to come back again for those of you who are avid watchers of the show. I have to keep you doing. So again, just to get back into the swing of things, I want to say first and foremost to those who should be subscribers to the show, welcome, fam. I know it's been about a week, but again, like I say, I got to recoup sometimes. Sometimes you just got to take away from the knotness that's going on out here. But I want to welcome you here to see another broadcast of Black Minds News. Passerbys, if you should happen to go down the wrong road and somehow stumbled over here to this channel, welcome. Over here we always have a grand opening, right? A grand opening, go in there, shop around, see something you might like. And then what end up happening is, you see some things you might like, you may see something you don't like, hit that button, have a supervisor come out to you, maybe we can get you to come on a return, like a IOU or, rain check. And maybe we get you to come on the second time, see something you might like. Again, go down to the library, see something you like. And again, welcome to Black Minds News. Now, let's get into this show here, right? So, as you heard, I was saying in the beginning as the show started off about some of the things that I have for some of the program for today. Just imagine this, right? So, just imagine that you as a individual, let's say for instance, let's say about a female, because that's what this story is going to really pertain to, about a female, right? And, when we come out of the environments that a lot of us have coming out of or may still be residing in those environments, how you used to see back in those days or even in this day, you would see a female who was pregnant. And when people recognize that a person is pregnant, they normally don't try to get into no confrontation with you because, again, not so much, even though it may have some gripe with you, they have the conscience to know that I'm not going to get involved because, again, I may harm the baby, right? And that's commendable on the person. At least they're thinking that not so much about you, but they're looking at the person who could be born and don't want to have anything to disrupt the progress or progression of the development or this person coming into the world. So normally you have a good conscience. What you do is you say, and people try to say, no, girl, you don't need to be fighting, So this particular story here that I'm about to show you has a twist to it. It's kind of one of these situations where you have to be like, okay, I get why they doing what they doing. And again, we're going to have to look through to see all the ins and outs. But first, let me show you this first. And then what I'll do is I'll, talk about it after the fact. So let me go ahead, set this up right quick. And check this out, and we shall be right back. Check this out.
Next to the growing controversy back here at home in Alabama, a pregnant woman shot in the stomach, now facing possible manslaughter charges for the death of her fetus. The shooter not charged in this case. Critics calling it a cruel and dangerous new step by the state to criminalize pregnancy. More from ABC's Stephanie Ramos.
Tonight, prosecutors in Alabama are trying to decide whether to move forward with a grand jury indictment against this woman, MARSHAY Jones, who miscarried after she was shot in the stomach during a fight in the parking lot of a Dollar General store. Jones, who according to her attorney has no past criminal history, is now facing a manslaughter charge. The indictment says she allegedly caused the death by initiating a fight knowing she was 5 months pregnant. Birmingham authorities say the fight back in December of 2018 stemmed over the fetus's father. But a grand jury determined the woman who fired those shots acted in self-defense and did not warrant charges against her, despite Jones being unarmed. Planned Parenthood is now weighing in, asking the district attorney to drop the charges against Jones immediately, saying prosecuting someone for being the victim of a violent crime is not only alarming, it's proof that Alabama will continue to target black pregnant people with their laws. The district attorney's office says they have not made a determination about whether to prosecute this as a manslaughter case, reduce it to a lesser charge, or not prosecute at all. Jones, who was taken into custody this week, is now out on a $50,000 bond. Whit.
Stephanie Ramos, our thanks to you tonight.
All right, so we see a young woman here. Seems to have got into some baby daddy situation, right? And seems like you know how it is. Women can be very emotional during this time of their pregnancy and things like that. And you know, being young like that, right? You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you're not thinking with all your faculties, right? You're just emotional. So she kind of found out that maybe the baby daddy was involved with another female, so she decided again to go after the individual. But let me tell the game like it TI is. The game is you don't hate the player, right? You hate the game, but you don't hate the players. Well, that's what they say. Don't hate the game, hate the player, right? So 9 times out of 10, a lot of people, when they get caught up in situations like that, what they do is they lash out on the individual that is involved with the person you involved with, right? Emotional. You shocked situation, and you still, feeling some type of way for the individual who you're dealing with. And so what you do is you go after the individual. But again, it's like the old saying about vampires, right? They say Dracula can't get into your house unless you invite him in. So when situations like that, people have to be rationalized to think, if somebody playing on you, I don't think it's incumbent on you to go after the individual who they playing with. Is to have your confrontation with the individual. Because again, each individual don't get to control what each other one do. Again, that's what the whole thing about trust is. And so what we see here is MARSHAY Jones, again, tried to take things into her own situation. She was 5 months pregnant. And again, I don't know the severity of all the ins and outs. We didn't get to see anything as into what took place as into the confrontation and the physicalness. But again, we see that the individual that was being on the defensive end seemed to have had her goddamn it on her, right? She had that, right? She had the goddamn it with her. And so, how it is they got this law about standing your ground these days. That's becoming one of those things that, a lot of people, again, you can have permit to carry, concealed carry. But again, it's always, once you pull the trigger, everything better line up, or otherwise it will actually reverse on you if you can't really, defend why you did what you did. So it seemed like in this case here, the system decided that the culpability is going to fall on the mother. Right? Because again, it seems like they want to say that based on MARSHAY Jones' actions, she caused the death of her own child, but they said had a miscarriage, right? Well, again, let's look at the simple fact that, again, the confrontation between the two women, again, we don't know the severity of what was taking place that would warrant a person to actually fire into the stomach, right? Was it in the stomach? Did it say anything about the stomach? I don't think it said anything about whether it was a stomach. I just said it said miscarriage. So I'm not saying whether, or not. According to, I'm looking over at this report here, it talks about that she started to fight with Ebony Jemison, who was the shooter. And they said both women faced manslaughter charges, right? Now, this is the original story, I think, going back originally in December. And it said all indications and all evidence points to the fact that the victim of the unborn child was the aggressor. She is no longer listed as the victim. The only victim we have here is the unborn child. And that's what the Lieutenant Reed has said. And the mother will also be presented to the grand jury, as you heard in the video, right? And this shooting was done in a Pleasant Grove shopping center. Now, again, see, they doing this all out again because, got caught up. Remember those shows used to come on? Cheaters, right? Kind of had the crew with them. It's all set up. And then here they come rushing out on you and cut you with your pants down, right? And so this was in a public area, brandishing the firearm, missing your target in a public place where a lot of other people can actually be somebody else can catch, because they say bullets don't have names. And so we see that the shooter was 23 years old, right? Does it say how old that let's see, they don't say how old she was, right? So is she 23? I'm pretty sure she probably in her 20s. I'm surprised they're not saying anything as to what her age is, right? So we just say we have two younger people in their 20s. Allegedly, we're going to say that MARSHAY is in her 20s because it does not specify whether she's in her 20s or not. But again, you can be hot-headed and you caught up in a situation. And again, I think it's incumbent at that who you get caught up is you to try to, what they say, de-escalate the situation of the person that acquainted with. Because the person who you're dealing with may not even know about this other person. And that's why it's always not the politically correct way. But again, when emotions, people fed up, kind of sense things, and then, aha, got you, right? And then it's like, okay, here it is. So we see the state decided at first, originally was to charge both of them. Then once all the situations had laid out, they figured out that this individual was aggressive. So they say, well, basically, you put the baby in harm because you had, the right of mind should have been to protect that baby at all costs. But you went all out. Now, again, standing your ground, protecting yourself. If you feel like you in, your life being threatened. Now, that's the other thing, too. What was it that this woman who was 5 months pregnant could do that would make you, again, pull your goddamn it out and then fire, right? So where homie at? Where's homie at in this whole situation, right? And so the state of Alabama decided that, hey, we're going to charge you with manslaughter. It's your fault for that. Now, again, some people will say, yeah, she shouldn't have went out there knowing what she was in that, state to be trying to get into confrontation, to get physical, because you got to think you're going to lose your baby. And so they're saying that Planned Parenthood is saying, how are you going to charge her with this? It's already a bad situation that a gun is being fired at her, but then to charge her also for the death of the baby, we think that's a little excessive. Now, people are going to be kind of split depending on how you see things, right? Everybody don't see everything the same way. But the lesson here is, when people are in them conditions, normally it is. But I have seen a lot, especially when you've seen all this world star shit. I've seen plenty of videos where women are getting stumped out and knowing they're pregnant, and they actually are trying to kill the baby, right? Now, again, I understand, as a population, as we as Black Americans in this land, and how there's there's more women there as men, and it's hard to find a good man out here for a lot of these women. And sometimes you got to go into the garbage dumpster to try to pull out the best that you can, right? And so when you finally find something that gets you emotional, gets you feeling some kind of way, you want to cherish it. You want to keep it. You don't want to share it. But again, you had another life to think about. And again, it's just one of those situations. Do you think Alabama in itself was wrong? Is this a way to make the turn, to make some people start thinking about situation? Or is it like the story said, that Alabama is going to use whatever way their laws can to persecute Black people in any form, fashion that they seem deemed fit that they can use? So again, it's one of those kind of calls of how you see it. I can't tell you whether it is or not, but that's this story here that happened in Alabama. And again, that, again, that sometimes, you're young and you out here and you doing things. But you got to put on your thinking cap. You got to be more aware and conscious about not just yourself, but others that you may be, tied to. This ain't even if you wasn't pregnant. What about your children, right? People who depend on you. So we got to prevail with a better head and understand when you're young, dumb, full of, that we're going to be emotional in these situations because, again, we're already coming from bad situations. Poor, coming out of dysfunctional situations. Maybe you don't have all, your mind, state of mind, you know what I'm saying? And just this thing about, again, like I said, a pull-up nation. Remember I talked about that. We have a pull-up nation where now it's like, everybody got something on them. So you have to be very cautious about how you running up on people, even if something that seemed to be so kind of minor that could just be a, old fisticuff, windmill, turn the windmill on and get some scratches or something. But if people scared and afraid, they have now laws that will actually they'll use to actually, remedy him out of that situation. So again, there's no winners in this situation. The baby done lost its life. I don't know, he or she. And now the mama is in jeopardy to be put into the system. And so just imagine that you lost your baby, you end up in a due time. So it's just like, your mindset got to be really just gone, right? So that was a story there that was done in Alabama. MARSHAY Jones. And again, I guess that will be laid out as time goes on, right? And that's just how it is, man. Again, this thing that we got this deep hatred and not having self-love for each other, that when we're in a situation, I guess, when you're a little older, you might be able to be like, it is what it is. It's up for the individual to sit there and lay it out like, okay, like I got somebody else or whatever. I know people are not going to be honest like that because, again, a lot of people don't want to hear the truth. But in this case, it's one of those sad situations. And there's some things that we all have seen growing up in the environments we come up. So, again, that was a story done in Alabama. Now, what I got here for you here. All right, so I got this story here. And this story here is pertaining to, reparations is a hot topic lately, right? Everybody talking about the reparations. Well, at least we are talking about the reparations, right? We talking about reparations. And you have people out here who don't really want to hear about that. They just kind of say, we wish this would just go away. We don't need to hear nothing about that. And, won't y'all go with y'all long hair with this? You aggravating us with this, right? So I seen this story here for those, again, that we being here in the United States, it's kind of on the topic, but it's spoke about, but it's unseen through the whole nation. It's only certain people who are aware, who knows, who's in the know of what's going on out here that knows, and there's a lot of people out here who don't know. But this particular story here is just to give some relevance as to what's good for this goose, how come it can't be good for this gander over here. So let me show you this, and we should be right back. Let me set this up. Yeah, let me go ahead and do this. All right, let's do it. All right, it says a Dutch railroad helped transport people to Nazi camps. Now it's paying reparations to Holocaust survivors. I'm going to say that again. A Dutch railway helped transport people to Nazi camps. Now it's paying reparations to Holocaust survivors. Now, this story was done in the Associated Press back on June 28, 2019. And it reads, The Hague, Netherlands, right? The Dutch National Railroad Company said Wednesday it will pay reparation to Jews, Roma, and Sinti, who were transported to camps in the Netherlands during World War II, from where they were sent to Nazi concentration camps. NS said in a statement that its role in transporting Jews and other minorities to camps on orders of Nazi occupiers during World War II is a black page in the history of the company. Job Cohen, a respected former mayor of Amsterdam who led a commission that proposed the reparations, called the payments a moral gesture. It's not possible to name a reasonable and fitting amount of money that can compensate even a bit of the suffering of those involved, Cohen said in a statement. And as Chief Executive Roger Van Boxtel said, the decision will affect thousands of Holocaust survivors and direct relatives of victims, costing the company tens of millions of euro dollars. Some 70% of the Dutch Jewish community, or more than 100,000 Jews, did not survive the war. Most were rounded up in the cities like Amsterdam and taken by train to camps in the Netherlands before being sent to the border and put on German trains to concentration camps. The train company apologizes in 2005 for its role in the transportation. It set up Cohen's commission last year to investigate how best to pay reparations. And that said, an estimate 500 living survivors of the Holocaust who were transported by the company will receive 15,000 euros, which is about $17,000 each. Widows and widowers of the victims are eligible to receive 7,500 euros, which is equivalent to about $8,500. And if they are no longer alive, the surviving children of victims should receive 5,000 euros, which is about $5,685. French Railroad Company, SNCF, also had expressed regret for its role in transporting Jews during World War II, acknowledging that its equipment and staff were used to transport 76,000 Jews to Germany. SNCF has argued that it had no effective control over operations when France was under Nazi occupation from 1940 to 1944. France government has paid more than $6 billion in reparation to French citizens and certain deportees. The German government has paid around 70 billion euros in compensation for Nazi crimes, mainly to Jewish survivors. All right, so we back, right? All right, so let's see. So we see that, again, like I said, the conversation has been about reparations, and we see that there's some people who are willing to, be compensated for the atrocity that was laid upon their people, right? And we see that the Dutch railway, who had something to do with the transporting of Nazi survivors, or Nazi people who were, I ain't gonna say Nazi people, we'll put that, Jewish people to the Nazi camps, and they're going to give them some kind of reparations, right? And we see that it's talked about Jews, Roma, and Sinti, right? These, people who are also public. Because again, a lot of people, when they think about the Holocaust, they only specify the Jews. Do you know there was black folks also there too? There was also some other people that was persecuted for religious. They were called the Purple Triangle, right? And so, but it seemed like the star of it was only about Jewish people. Now, that doesn't demean what took place or to belittle it. It's just that there were other people involved as well. And we see that the Dutch said that this is a black page in the history of the company. The railroad company, right? The railway company, right? So this is a black page for us, right? Again, this kind of put a dark cloud, a blemish on we're trying to have a reputable, we want to be reputable, right? Let's put it that way. We want to have a reputation that we are good, wholesome, good company, but we have this stigmatization on us about what took place back in World War II. But then one aspect is the story here goes on, the article went on, it talks about how that, yeah, they was involved, but they kind of also try to, again, chide it off and say, well, we were occupied, right? And we didn't really just do this on our own. It's just the simple fact that this is what had happened. So we see that the individual there, his name was Job Cohen, right? And Job is the one that's kind of like what they say here about this HR 40, right? He came up with that, and it was set up. He was a former mayor of Amsterdam. And he was the one that put that commission together. And, they proposed reparations in this commission. And they said, again, like a lot of people, when you hear a lot about the reparations talk, a lot of people say, well, taking the money, you're never going to be wholly compensated. But let me tell you something. Do you really think that somebody, again, in the historical aspect of what you have endured in this land, is going to make you whole? Do you really believe that? You understand? And due to the simple fact that what data is showing, as the timeline is stating, that our particular people already are at such a detrimental state that if something isn't done, this could be us, as I did the video about white people going into extinction. It could be black Americans going into extinction. And it looks like everybody else is being brought here to what? Replace us, right? And so they said that, yes, the payment, and again, we're talking about money. We're not just talking about programs, right? We're talking about the money first, right? The money. Now, they said it's only a moral gesture. It's not like it's the all be all, this is it, and everything is going to wipe everything away. It never's going to wipe that away. People lost their lives. In our case, lives, the ability to build wealth, the long prevailing legislation that has permeated even to this day that prohibit us from a lot of the so-called rights we're supposed to have in this land, right? So we don't be having our full rights like we're supposed to, like any other people who's supposed to be considered citizens of a land. It's saying that everybody else can come, whether it be by immigrants or through some kind of, again, I can't understand why somebody's sexual preference has precedence over people who, it's not about their sexual preference, it's about their existence. I don't understand how you can get preferential treatment and these people seem to be on the back burner because, again, I'm pretty sure it's just too big, as they will talk about later on. So it's just a moral gesture. It's something, again, it's kind of like when those, if you know the Bible, right? And you remember when it talked about how they used to take animals and sacrifice the animals, right? In the Old Testament, they take the animals, sacrifice the animal to atone for their sins, right? You would atone by what? Sacrificing an animal. And the blood would be the sacrifice of exchange as atonement, right? But you come to find out later that what people were doing, instead of getting a healthy animal, they were getting sick, lame animals and bringing them before. And it was just becoming like, didn't have no real, let's put it this way. I don't understand how that is considered to be atonement for something you did by killing another person. You know what I'm saying? I ain't understanding that either. But anyway, that's what they said. That's what we read, right? So it got out of hand where people were just doing anything just to be able to say they did it. And again, when you think about it, is it really atoning for the sin? The answer is going to be no. It's not. But know what it does for people, we're going to say of that time? It's to give them the mind that they've been, relieved of their sin. So it was just a gesture. Like it says, a moral gesture. That's all payment for reparation will be as a moral gesture. You see that Cohen goes on and he said in the article, it's not possible to name a reasonable and fitting amount of money that can be compensated even a bit of the suffering of those involved. See, the money can never take away the actuality of what took place. But because of, let's say, the stoppage of allowing the people, after you so-called freeing them, right? You deterred them from every access to becoming and living, thriving, and building after they had already did what they done did and all the brutality that happened during that particular time. But the continuation of it goes on. And so to act as if like people feel like it's a burden for us to talk about it, it's a burden to put it on the table, to say that we who are now have nothing to do with it. But again, the insurance policy, the beneficiaries, a lot of people who are here today, who may hear my voice or who are just here in this country, are beneficiaries of what people have laid, died, given their lives to, and the brutality and everything. It's kind of like the animal was sacrificed for your so-called good fortune that you may be having. So black people became the sacrificial animal, but it's now to the point that you're doing lame and sick people still trying to get atonement, right? And we know that that had to be wiped away, right? Because again, the abuse of it. And so you have a lot of people who are kind of torn and saying about we should get money. Don't put money in black people's hands, and let's put it in programs, put it back in education. But again, if we're talking about wealth and allowing the people to take from what has been done so that they can now start to turn themselves around in a way so that they can economically build for themselves, it seems that people have such a problem with that. And you have to ask yourself, who are you really if this is a problem when you know what it is and you feel like you don't want to pay for it? But how much have these people have paid for your luxurious, opulent life? And so when you really look at it for what it is, it's really revealing of who you really are, who even though you think, because you may say, I have friends, I do this and that, but and overall, it shows who you are, even though you think. So when you're looking at it, you see that the railroad chief executive, that Roger Van Boxtel, he said the decision will affect thousands of Holocaust survivors, right? Now, the decision that they're talking about to repair these people who were the descendants of them, right, is going to affect their lives, right? Think about that. You know, somebody can be having hard times. This check comes in. Now, again, everybody wants to put black Americans in the mindset that if we're only 14%, 40 to 50 million people here, that you're going to say all 40, 50 million people are just going to take their money and splurge it and blow it. I think this is where the scary part comes in at. You're going to have your percentage that, again, you give somebody something. They're going to do what they want. But again, if you got a job and you working, fuck do you care about what I do with my money? Right? Why what is it, pocket watching? Why are you watching my pockets? Allow me to do what I think is best for me, and that has no bearing on your life. Because what it should be, as it says, the moral, right? To morally cleanse you or to morally relieve some of the shit off of your mind, you will feel better knowing that, okay, we did that, right? That's a little, again, it's just a little something for what we know. Because you walk around here anyway with the conscience of it. This is where the fragility of mind is coming from. Because you know why the condition you see these people in and why they in there and what is the systemicness to why they like that. But to act as if you don't, then okay. Then you carry that. You're going to constantly carry it. Right? So it says the people, the survivors, the direct relatives of the victims, right? They're going to be the ones that's going to help some benefit in their lives. But then they say, well, you know, the company is going to lose tens of millions. What the fuck we care about that? That's not the victim's problem. It's what's been done, what you have inherited is what your ancestors put on you. Know who you need to be mad at? Your ancestors. They left a bad check for you. They left their debts on you. You can't just say, you could pick up the good part of it. You could pick up the transfers of house, the transfers of money, companies, right? Assets. You can get that part, but you don't want the other aspect to it. They had a debt. They need to be paid, but nobody wants to deal with that, right? We're just going to act like we're not going to deal with that, right? So we see that 70% of the Dutch Jewish community, they said somewhere about 100,000 Jews, they said a lot of them did not survive the war, right? And so a lot of them was rounded up in cities like Amsterdam, and they was taken to the Netherlands camps, right? And then they was put on German trains, and then they was taken from there into the concentration camps. Now, again, I already talked about France. Remember those again? A while back, I talked about how France had to go ahead and decide they were going to do it too, right? And so the train company, back in 2005, decided they was going to apologize for it, right? It's trying to make atonement for what it done. Now, again, it's a moral gesture. it's commendable from a moral standpoint that you're trying to right or wrong, right? Because they say, well, we were the ones that end up helping to transport them, right? And so the commission, just last year, after the investigation, came up with the best way to pay the reparations. And that's what they came up with. And so what they came up with, they found out through their investigation, there's about 500 living survivors that were from the Holocaust that were transported by the company, which they received. Each one of them will get about $17,000 in American money, right? Even if they were widows or widowers, right? Victims are eligible to receive about $7,500, which is about $8,500 American dollars. And if they are no longer alive, now check this out, the surviving children of the victims will receive $5,685. See how that money still trickles trickulates back down to anybody who is connected to it. So why is it that when black folks talk about, black Americans talk about it, and then have that motherfucker that was in that goddamn committee saying the shit, talking about how he don't think because he live in the suburb, what the fuck has that got to do with what my ancestors went through? Nothing. So I said he needed to shut his damn mouth, right? So we see French Railway again, as I talked about. They expressed their regret, right? They had compensated them, right? And primarily they said they had transported about 76,000 Jews, right? And France was trying to say, well, the reason why we did what we did is due to the simple fact that, well, we were occupied by the Nazis, right? They actually occupied our land, and due to the occupation, we were forced to do, even though this is not what we really wanted to do, but based on them occupiers, we were forced to do this. And that's their little saying, well, we really wasn't in agreement to it, but we did it because we were forced to do it, right? And so we see that when you total up all the money that France had did, they said it was about $6 billion in reparation that the French citizens and certain deportees had ended up, contributing. Now, again, does that mean that that's the all be all? No, it's not the all be all. It's not the all be all. But, again, it's a moral gesture. So then if a people are not willing to do what's right from a moral standpoint, then you are moralist ass people. And this is what's, again, as I keep saying, everything, the all-seeing eyes recording it all. Not for all the things that you might be doing, your surveillance and trying to keep on tabs, thinking that somebody, Baba Yaga, is coming to get your ass. And that's your aspect of it. Everything else is being recorded as well. And so a lot of people are not understanding that. You understand? Everything is being recorded for its time and purpose. Again, there's an appointed time for everything. So that was just that there on that aspect to that, right? Right? So that's what they're doing, right? They're trying to, again, make some more, recompense. I guess they're trying to morally correct a wrong. Are you going to be able to get it 100% unless you figure out how to bring people back to life? But since you can't do that, and then it's not so much even bringing the people back. Just think of it from this standpoint. Think about you as an individual. If, you know how like some of us, we know people who died young, right? Who got killed or died young and didn't get a chance to progress, to develop, to be who they might have become. Yes, maybe they was a little wayward when they were younger or was on their way to, becoming something and it never come to fruition. Well, that would be the same thing with our people. Due to the simple fact that our people became sharecroppers and they had a lot of, knowledge how to build and so, and to now be relinquished from under the burden and oppression of that, they could have set business and shops up for their own, but they were hindered from not doing that. And what did that stunt as for people to progress and become, as everybody say, pulling themselves by their bootstrap? If that doesn't manifest itself like that, the way that it did, then you could say you lazy, shiftless, and you don't want nothing. But as long as there was a knot in the hose that prevented it from flowing, you can only hypothesize what coulda, woulda, shoulda, if. And they said if is a fifth, we would all be drunk. Right? So let me move on to my next part of the story here, right? So that's just what that is, right? So French over there trying to do, but again, my thing is, it seems like everybody can see from the Holocaust standpoint of view, but, when it comes to black folks in America, everybody seems to have amnesia or trying to figure as if like, well, it's so sad, that's your story, but there's nothing I can do for you, right? Okay, so again, you carry it until the time it is, right? So let's look at it this way. So I seen this story here, right? And I'm like, okay, sometimes you're going to have to look at it like this. You're going to have to look at it like this. Sometimes these stories come up and you be saying, damn, is this, this person's doing, or could you be in the lineage of things that, you brought this karma on other people? Now think about this. Can something, again, like we talk about history and what happened to a particular people and the, horrendous history that is kind of hidden but not really told, but everybody kind of think they know. And then people try to act as if like, well, none of us had nothing to do with that. But see, you could say that, but then again, the spirit of the planet, things happen and you don't have no answer why. Why would this happen? Well, I've seen this story here. And I'm saying, and I'm not saying, and I'm not trying to make light of or make jokes about it, but I'm just going to show you that, see, some people think that you pulling the wools on our eyes and tell us anything because you think we children, we don't know. But then you're not understanding that maybe you might be putting karma, not just on yourself, but everything else that might be tied to you. And something like this can happen. What are you talking about, Mr. Blow Your Mind? Well, check this out. And be right. Well, let me do this and then do this and do this. I got to do this, right? Let me do this first. Hold on. And then we'll come back to that, right? Let's do this first. Come on. All right. And let's get it.
New details now on that deadly shark attack in the Bahamas. This morning, we are hearing from the father of that California college student who was killed while snorkeling with her family. ABC's Victor Oquendo is there in the Bahamas with the latest on this. Good morning, Victor.
Good morning, Amy. We're just off Rose Island where that attack took place. It's a very popular spot for divers, surrounded by coral reefs. Jordan Lindsay's father tells us the entire family was out here that day, but Jordan and her mother were alone when she was killed in what experts are calling an extremely rare attack.
This morning, new details in the deadly shark attack in the Bahamas that took the life of a college student on vacation with her family. 21-year-old Jordan Lindsay went snorkeling off Rose Island with the Sandy Toes Tour Company in a reef much like the one seen here in a video from the company website when Jordan was fatally attacked by 3 sharks, according to police, severing her arm, her mother just feet away from her in the water. This photo seen here, Jordan in the middle, taken just before setting out for the snorkeling excursion. Her father speaking to ABC, telling us it happened so quickly there was no time for anyone to warn them. Jordan's mother had to pull her to shore. Here in the Bahamas, we spoke with Andre Musgrove, a local cinematographer and shark diver who says he ventures into these waters every week.
In the area, there are sharks because there are coral reef around there, so just like any other healthy coral reef systems, you will find sharks.
You can see a shark in this photo taken by another tourist in the same area 45 minutes before the attack.
And sharks are protected here in the Bahamas.
Correct. Shark tourism here, and the population of shark here is very healthy. That's what helps us with the marine ecosystem here, the fisheries, the tourism also. So they're a big asset to the Bahamas.
Big business.
Exactly.
So when something like this happens, I mean, that's your livelihood right there. What goes through your head?
It's really unfortunate, and my condolences goes out to the family. Us as humans just have to focus on educating ourselves and what we should do and what we not should do.
This is actually the snorkeling location for the Sandy Toes Tour Company. We've reached out to them several times but have not heard back. Today was supposed to be the last day of the Lindsay family vacation. Instead, they're going through the painstaking process of returning her body home to California. Amy?
Oh, so tragic indeed. All right, Victor Okendo, thanks so much for being with us. And joining us now is Joe Waiulo, the curator and co-founder of the Long Island Aquarium and Exhibition Center. And thanks for being with us. I know that there are so many people thinking about vacations and snorkeling, and then you hear about the details of this case. Officials there say that there were 3 sharks involved in this attack. Is that common?
They do hunt in packs at times, but usually the incidents are just an individual shark.
And, you know, we've been talking about this string of shark attacks, but the truth is shark attacks, the numbers haven't been rising, even though it feels like they have when we see these types of reports, correct?
Correct. Social media, things like that, the news does get out a lot quicker, so it does seem like it's more common, but statistically it's not.
Now, we all know that the chances of this happening are extremely remote, but other than avoiding the ocean altogether, which I think sometimes people end up doing after they see these types of attacks, are there things that swimmers, that surfers, that people can do to avoid being attacked by a shark?
Just using some common sense. You're entering their realm, you're entering their world. So avoiding swimming dawn and dusk, wearing shiny jewelry, things like that, avoiding areas. If there's a feeding frenzy or something going on, just avoiding those areas. Dawn and dusk
are typically the times that sharks feed?
That's often a feeding time, and also the lighting is low, so their perception of what they might be chasing could be altered.
Now, if you also find yourself in the unusual situation of being attacked by a shark, there are things that you can do to hopefully avoid that becoming a fatal attack.
Yeah, you're in a fight for your life at that point, and sharks, their mouth and their snout is a very sensitive area. There's a lot of sensory organs there, so you punch and kick for all you're worth. Nobody likes being poked in the eye, so definitely go for their eyes. They do not want to be in a fight, and if they feel like they're in a situation, they will retreat. That
is important advice to think of in those moments. Joe Waiulo, thanks so much for being with us. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks.
All right, so see a young woman there named Jordan Lindsay, and the family decided to go to the Bahamas. You know how the old, remember the old commercial take, come back to Jamaica. You remember that, right? You all see the nice white sand beach, beautiful blue waters, right? White people just laying out and the niggas serving them, right? They're in the Bahamas, right? And they're on this place called Rose Island. We see that Jordan Lindsay and her family decided they want to go out there and, they want to go scuba diving, right? I'm trying to figure out, because what black folks is thinking in their damn mind. What? There's sharks in the water. There's sharks in the water? Ain't nobody getting that goddamn water. Why are you trying to go against nature? What is the point of trying to go against nature? Shark-infested water. I understand this is tourism, but this is like going into their inhabitants. This is their world. You in their house. Yes, you going trying to see what's under there and be able to take your pictures and get to see under there quiet. Yeah, that's what you're trying to do. They trying to survive. And you know what I'm saying? And again, it says that what he say, from dusk to dawn is when, they looking to feed, right? So we're not sure what time that really took place, but according to what my man said, he said dusk to dawn is when they feed, and you know what they do? Run in packs. You understand? They running in packs. And so we see that the brother, that Andre Musgrove, he was up there, he'd want to tell you to run down. He's like, yeah, it's unfortunate, but you got to use common sense. Common sense tell black folks, sharks in the water? They ain't going in that goddamn water. But what makes it other people feel like you know what? I'm just going to pet him. I love sharks. He should know I love him. Just like that story about the one of Sentinel Island. And look, I'm Jesus. I just kind of bring it all up in his chest. He dead in the motherfucker now, right? Because why? The equilibrium. You gotta leave some shit to just leave it into its own. Ain't no shit for you to just be in. Observe, see, enjoy. But you want to get up in the mix of it? Well, hey. Now again, this is not no gloating or no shit or saying. We're just saying what common sense does it make for an individual to try to defy nature? Right? You're trying to go against nature. Now, what was funny was sharks are protected. Niggas ain't got protection. Niggas still fighting for protection, but they got protection. So you know what it is? They couldn't send a white mob out there to go kill the damn sharks because they're protected. Right? You can't go out there with a white mob and kill them because they kill Lindsay. You can't do that because they're protected, right? So, you know, even with that tragic situation there, and then the mama, you know, I think the mama lost an arm too, right? Right? Mama lost an arm too. Baby girl, 21, college student, Jordan Lindsay. She got killed and ate up by the sharks. And, you know, even with that being with that tragedy, did you still see how it was like, well, you understand? You know, that's a remote incident, right? Right? The chances are very remote of that happening. So we're not going to fuck up the money. That's just a casualty of war is the way they looked at it. You know, it happens, but it's not as much as everybody want to make it. The point is, it shouldn't happen because, again, you shouldn't be swimming your ass when shark-infested waters. I mean, that's just, they say common sense. So I guess there's no culpability of the resort, the tourism part, for you taking your ass where the sharks at, right? I guess at your own risk, right? And so common sense ain't so common after all, because people feel like I'm going to do what I want to do because I have this privilege, and even sharks back your ass up, but the sharks don't read that shit. Sharks ain't under that law. They under the nature of what they said. Nigga, we hungry? Oh, shit. Look what we hear here. Hey, Fred. Hey, Robert. Hey, look what you see that? Huh? See? I mean, I make fun of the life of the situation, but I'm just saying. You gonna say the defense is poke him up with a shark in his eye or punch him in the goddamn nose. See? Black people probably know none of that shit because we ain't fucking with the shark in the water like that. That's where he live at. That's where he fuck with. We ain't fucking with him. So we ain't got to know about poking the motherfucker in the eye. Punch him in the damn nose. See, that's somebody else doing shit. And guess what? You know how people going to be following them. Hey, you want to go snorkeling? Oh, sure. Come on, let's go. I'll try anything. So, it's a story. But what I'm saying is, it's tragic that individual had to get, and then not one shark, not two sharks, 3 sharks. The odds of you getting ate by 3 sharks. Can we say that maybe something could be, you could be karma, some karma that didn't happen to somebody in your family, and it fell on you, you know what I'm saying, like a Russian roulette. It don't happen to you, because again, I think the scripture talking about to the 5th, to the first, to the 2nd, to the 3rd, to the 4th, to the 5th, to the 6th generation, 7th, Me ain't gonna keep going until it run its course, till it finally catch up. May not be you. You're getting away with all kind of shit now, but that don't mean you may not be passing that karma onto somebody else. It's unfortunate that happened, but you gotta think about this shit, y'all. And I ain't talking about our people. I'm talking about these other folks. You better think about this shit and all this shit that y'all keep trying to act as if like, karma is what you're passing. Moving on. So, that's what that is, right? Take it, leave it alone. Hey, that's what you want. So, right? So there's no karma. You can just keep doing it. So, okay, you keep doing what you want to do, right? You go ahead, you keep doing it.
People here in Lancaster.
It's okay. You keep doing it. Well, check this out. Well, see, like stuff like this. Let me show you something here. This story here again. It's kind of like the same old, right? It's funny. It's game. It's okay. Yeah, look, we're saying that we're doing it. Check it out. Be right back. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Come right back.
People here in Lancaster are obviously disgusted and they are horrified by this racist video apparently made by students here at Quartz Hill High School in Lancaster. We are not showing their faces of the folks in this video because we believe they are minors.
A white
It's not clear when the video was made. It appears to be screen recorded from Snapchat and then posted to Twitter several days ago. The girl recording the video uses the N-word and other racially charged language. The students reportedly attend Quartz Hill High School here in Lancaster. As I mentioned, the community here is disgusted and infuriated by this racist video and what they've seen and heard.
I think everyone's like shocked, and then they're all like, why would they be saying something like that?
It will haunt them forever. That's a sad thing. People get fired over stuff like that, and even though it happened years prior, so it does haunt them.
The Antelope Valley Union High School District released a statement that reads in part, "We were recently made aware of a social media video showing a group of teenagers exhibiting deeply offensive and inexcusable racist behavior. This runs counter to the district's core values. We are working on identifying those in the video while including our law enforcement partners and will take action as deemed appropriate." We can also tell you that the Lancaster Sheriff's Department, the station up here, is also investigating this. They put out an advisory saying they are looking into the origins of the video, and it's possible they are also searching into whether or not this is considered a threat. Reporting from Lancaster, I'm Tom Waite, KCAL 9 News.
All right. So see, Quartz High School has some students, and all seeing that. Ain't nobody around. Come on, let's paint Tom's face, put a little monkey hat on them, and we're going to say these epithets at the same time. It's funny. Yeah, little nigger, like a monkey nigger, and right? It's all good. Then all of a sudden, when it all becomes exposed, then now all of a sudden, people are shocked and surprised. And, oh, I can't. What do you mean? This ain't the only person in your community like this? A whole bunch of you like this, right? There's a whole bunch of you like this. And so, that little girl said something that exactly what I was just talking about, right? She said, this stuff will haunt you forever. Forever, forever, ever, forever, ever. See, it's nice and fun in games to be able to, castigate people in such a demeaned, immoral light for your fun and enjoyment. When they're the ones who live in what you do not understand, or if you think in light of it as a game, they themselves are living in the shit that you just don't understand. Well, again, you can make mistakes. But the point is, there's a theme here. The theme is, they say the apple don't fall from the tree. Well, the kids like that, the parents is like that. The parents like that, the grandparents like that. The grandparents like that, the great-great-parents. You understand? It's just, what I'm saying? It's going right down the line. And so the theme here is, see, what was done there, what that little girl said, this will haunt you forever. And this is what some people not understanding. The shit that y'all doing has a karmatic way of rearing its head again. It may not get you, but it may get somebody else that's connected to you. So white folks start looking at this. And if you think it's a joke, just start paying attention to shit that start happening to people in your family. And you'd be wondering why some strange shit that don't seem to like, this is a good person. Maybe they had to do with them. Maybe somebody else did some shit that fell on them. I know we don't want to think about that kind of shit. But unless you don't believe in that, I think black people believe in karma. You know what I'm saying? I think we believe in it. Which goes around, comes around, right? And sometimes it skips, right? Kind of like genetics, right? Sometimes somebody can be born and the gene went back to grab somebody else that was in the family. And then they'll be like, hey, can't see how you. But then somebody in the family is like, well, you look like just like woo, 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 woo. You understand? So the same thing here. All that shit y'all doing, making fun, laughing, and it's fun to berate black people, and black people ain't shit, and deprive them, and all this shit, you get away with it at the time being. But not forever. Not forever. Not forever. Moving on. So, all right, check this one out. All right, we're getting down there. Right? So, I'll put it like this. Let me do this. Let me do this first here. Let me do this here. And let me do this first, too. Because, let me do this one instead. Let me do this. Do this one instead. Hold on. No, I did that, right? I did that one already. Do this one. Do this one. All right. Do that one. Okay, do that one. All right. So, do this right there. Okay. All right. So, this next story here, again, I'm going to go back into, again, I talked about in the beginning, the show was coming on as an introduction, talking about Laura Ingraham. Did y'all hear that? There was an article that came out. And again, as we're talking about this karmatic, debt that may fall upon unwilling participants that maybe are innocent. And some people just not getting it. They think they can say, do whatever, and there's no price to pay because we believe we control every function of our existence, but there's a spiritual aspect you don't control. So you may be thinking you're saying something smart and clear and it seems good and hey, right? But again, remember what you said. Remember the words. Remember the things you did. Okay? Well, check this out, and we'll be right back. Let me show you what this article said, and be right back. Check it out. Laura Ingraham dismisses reparations. No do-overs. We won. You lost. That's that. You know I'm going to say that again. Laura Ingraham dismisses reparations. No do-overs. We won. You lost. That's that. This story is coming out of, looks like, what's the name of this article? It's coming out of the... Doesn't say, huh? I think it's the Daily Beast, right? Coming out of the Daily Beast, it looks like it was published on June 20th, 2019. And this is how it reads. It says, Fox News star Laura Ingraham waded into the ongoing debate over reparations for descendants of slaves during her podcast on Thursday by proclaiming there are no do-overs after a conquest. Talking to Kentucky State professor and hate crime hoax author Wilfred Riley about the recent House hearing on reparations. Ingers played a clip of author Ta-Nehisi Coates taking Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell to task for saying reparations are unnecessary because Americans elected Barack Obama as president. After praising McConnell's remarks, Riley stated that the logistics of paying reparations would be far too difficult before wondering if Native Americans would then be next to request compensation over their treatment. I mean, obviously, both white and black soldiers, frankly, took this country from the Indians, the first people, Riley added. People would argue that the whole world, and I would, the whole world has been reshaped by people taking other people's land. Ingram weighed in. It's called conquest. Mentioning past empires and how they were a totally different map. In the past, Ingram, whose own brother thinks she's a monster, then complained that they want to live in a fake world, presumably talking about liberals. As Trump also says, you don't get do-overs, she declared. No do-overs, that's it. There was an argument sometime, I think it was in the 1980s, there was a quote, you won, we lost, that's that. Describing world politics, we won, you lost, that's that. That's just the way it is. Ingram's racially inflammatory rhetoric has ignited a firestorm of controversy in recent months and led to the advertisers dropping her Fox News program. Recently, she defended a virulent anti-Semite on her primetime cable news show, describing him as merely a prominent voice who has been censored by social media for having conservative values. All right, so we're back, right? So we see, Laura Ingrams, right? Said what she had to say, right? Coming out of that Daily Beast, right? Daily Beast, right? So you see that Laura Ingrams dismisses reparations, right? She said, no do-overs. So she believed reparation is like doing a do-over, like, again, making amends, right? Kind of like what we talked about, or what I read originally with the Dutch story, talking about how they decided they're trying to do a moral right, trying to remedy a wrong, right? But she said there's no do-overs. We won, you lost, that's that. At least that's the way the Daily Beast has made her words to come across as, right? And so she said the word conquest, right? She said she proclaiming there is no do-overs after a conquest. Now, when you again, some people go to Google. Me myself, I go to the publications. I go to the binds, right? The books, right? Because again, Google will only give you so much. But again, if you've been doing this for some time, the publications and things that you've read, maybe no longer in print. They said certain things at one particular time. So, if you got books, cherish them. Because, again, Timbuktu and things like that, that's what they were. That was considered the currency, right? They was collecting books. I think the Vatican got all the books down in that 6-mile tunnel they got down there, right? But anyway. So when you look at the word conquest under definition-wise, right, it says the act of or process of conquering, something conquered, territory appropriated in war. Person whose favor or hand has been won, right? Appropriated territory, right? Keep that in mind. Appropriated territory at war. Because you see how, remember she using the word conquest, but then that Riley cat said something that I'll address as we go down. So she felt some kind of way because, when so-called Senator Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, again, I had talked about that when he originally said that. Remember, I did that last show before I took the hiatus off for a while. Remember when McConnell had took the task, well, they say Ta-Nehisi Coates had got on him for him saying reparations were unnecessary because Americans elected Barack Obama as president. Think about that. Just in that statement and alone, saying that to somebody, right? We gave you Barack Obama. You gave us. Let's look at it. Okay, the United States is a corporation, right? So being president is just somebody who's running the corporation for somebody who actually owns the corporation, right? A CEO don't own, right? He's a chief executive operator, right, of the company or the corporation, right? In this case, you just running the business for somebody else. How does that benefit we historically, who this business used us as property? How does that corporation putting one of us who was not one of us, and let's make this straight, Kenyan daddy, mama from, white American mama, does not equate to black American. Need I say that again? An African daddy and a white mama does not equate to black Americans. And I know a lot of people got a problem because they say, you black Americans, you don't accept us being Africans. It's not that we don't say we don't accept as being African, because again, African is a continent. It's not a tribe. You know, a lot of people just got this thing about stigmatizing everything. African. Name me the tribe African. Name me the damn tribe called African. You won't find one. They got tribal names. We can't be that. So let me give you something. Let me tell y'all something why me, myself, and maybe others look at ourselves as Black Americans. Let me give it to you like this. We are the amalgamation, look it up if you don't know, the amalgamation of that which historically they told us that what took place have merged and became one people over the period of time, span of time we've been here, and became this tribe that we call Black Americans. We are the tribe of Black Americans. In order to be the tribe of Black Americans, you must have come from the history of what American blacks have gone through. Not saying the word black meaning a color. Black has now become a tribe. Let's get this shit straight now. Because everybody trying to use this, they try to say, Kamala Harris isn't black. I just explained to you. We're not talking about the color as being black. We're talking about the descendancy and legacy of the amalgamation of the people who are part of this United States experience, not the Americas, not just the transatlantic. We're talking about in this country we call the United States, we have become a tribe called the Black Americans. You would know one when you talk to one, because most of those who are not a part of it don't like them unless you can benefit from them or there's something you're trying to get from them. Okay, let's keep that shit straight. So to tell us that you gave us somebody to run masses business, like what benefit do the slave get? It's like being a house nigga. He ate a little better, he dressed a little better, he got to ride and go in places with massa, but that's it. The only thing he get to do, he be able to come down and talk shit to the rest of the field niggas, but he don't run shit. You understand? So to tell us, oh, we gave you Barack Obama, what then was that kind of y'all little moral gesture trying to say, look what we did for you. You have not put nobody of our blood, sweat, and tears in that office. And if you try to put somebody to make it look that way, that's only because he was already one of your boys when he ran and you knew he was going to run. But it was a feel-good story, make people to aspire like, we're part of this nation. We're not part of shit. Right? So him saying that is just shows the phoniness that you people have. You think you could just say whatever you want to say to us and that shit sound good to you. But again, the tribe of Black Americans been around you so long, we know bullshit when we hear it. We've been hearing from you for a long ass time. And so when Ta-Nehisi Coates said what he said, you said putting him to task is because he was reading through the bullshit. Because that's what it was. You saying that shit was bullshit. We didn't benefit from it. Gay people benefit from them. Immigrants benefit from them. The three things they did and telling us, put down the Xbox, put down that chicken, and take the kids and then teach them how to read. Nigga, you ain't in our goddamn household. Nigga, you the motherfucker trying to act like you can hoop and all this shit. One hand, left hand, I'm ripping your ass all day. Come with that bullshit. Nigga, anyway, right? Anyway, so you say something like that. And then she goes on and she praises McConnell for his remarks. That was good. Yes. See? Look how y'all think. You give us some bullshit that you know is bullshit, but you try to sell it to us like it's legit. We up on y'all game. That's why you got to always keep changing the game. Because you know we up on your game. That's why you got to keep bringing new people, keep changing up all the shit, got to keep changing up. You got to try to keep us confused, because if we see what you want, you know we going to figure it out better than you do. Who again, remember in Django? Let me give it to you. Remember in Django? Remember when they was coming in there and he was like, he gonna buy the boxer, but he flipped it and said he gonna get the girl. He couldn't see it, right? Or Leonardo DiCaprio couldn't even see the shit, right? Who had to come tell him what the game was? Old sellout, didn't he? Let me talk to you. Wait, I'm in business right now. I got to talk to you right now. Come on. Okay, so go in there with you. They ain't come here for no boxer. I think that boy wants that girl. Remember that whole scene? He went up on it. As much as he mastered, he got all the game and all that, but nobody was getting a lot of their information about how to deal, to see shit that was confided in one of the Negroes, the house Negro that was there, right? We seen that lately. I seen a motherfucker that came over here talking about he the blackest show on the corner, and him saying all kind of shit now, talking about shit about. I'm just like, man, boy, I keep telling you, these motherfuckers out here with all this talking about I'm so educated and I'm lettered and I'm fraternity. You better watch these motherfuckers. They ain't with you. It's like you think they is. They not with you. Don't fall for that bullshit, because that's what that is. So, same thing here. You praising him for the bullshit that he said. And then the other cat stated that the logistics of paying reparation would be too far difficult. For who? Who would it be difficult for the paying? Huh? Who would be hard for who? Right? Hard for who? You know? Hard for who? Let's see. Hold on. All right, okay, make sure that one. All right. So, hard for who? For those who can't see that remedy for what had happened, because again, your fragility of mind makes you to be like, I can't see them. Because you know the old saying was, I'd rather be a nigga than a poor white man. Keep that in mind. I'd rather be a nigga than a poor white man. So anything that you're talking about giving niggas money that's going to elevate those other motherfuckers who just benefit off their skin, you automatically put them to be in that what I just said. A poor white man is worse than a nigga. This is why they keep saying this shit is divisive. Because there's a lot of them, because you got to remember, if they consider themselves the majority of the nation, not all of them got money. Not all of them is in the wealthy. Not all of them has all this glitz and glamour of the Caucasus Mountains and none of that. They just baking it, got something, a little more than you. But the minute you get something, you understand? They upset now. That's why they keep talking about it's divisive. And then he goes on to say some shit to the fact, he says, well, it'd be far too difficult before, but now what if the Native Americans would then next request compensation? Wait a minute. You done dealt with that already. You done gave them their casino. You done gave them these reservation land. What the fuck are you talking about? What is you talking about? See? You say anything not to deal with the fact of what you know, what is fact. This is a case that's automatically won before it even get into the damn proceedings. But you're going to do anything, say anything. Are the Indians up here now talking about this? What you talking about Indians for? See? What you talking about Barack Obama for? Only motherfuckers who sleep still talking about Barack Obama, what he and all that shit that he did for them, because these ones again we talking about motherfuckers who want to be accepted. You feel like you accepted. I'm in the house now. Real niggas don't give no shit about that. What James Brown said, give it to me, I do it myself. See, the problem is I can't do it for myself is because you've got too many hindrances and obstacles in my progression since I've been around you. So you deterred me, so I think you need to compensate me so that I can make something for those who are coming behind me. Right? So then he goes on to say, now this is Riley cat that was talking in the interview with her in this article, right? He goes on to see, let me show you the depths that they will go to say bullshit to try to offset what you talking about. He said, well, both white and black were soldiers, frankly, took this country from the Indians. You're going to put black people in helping you conquering Indians as somehow that we, again, benefited by your conquest that you talking about, like we benefited. We was forced to be put in them situations, right? When you're talking about this shit, And even if there was a volunteer aspect of it, you went back to where you had them at afterwards. How dare you say some shit like that? This is the blatant disrespect that these people have for us. That is what that shit is. Totally disrespect, disregard. But they all talk about they so patriotic. But when you can say that we was the soldiers and we helped you to conquest, but then look at the condition we in. Then that's tell us what kind of motherfuckers y'all really is. You ain't the motherfucker to really be trustworthy with. You the motherfucker that you speak of with a forked tongue. You say this shit, but you do that shit. Right? So it goes on. Mentioning that empires, how they were totally different map. Whose own, now check this out. The article went on and said that her own brother, her brother said, that motherfucker a monster, man. She's a monster. Man, why? What is a monster? A creature. Something with no natural feeling, just a natural beast. No feelings, no kind of compassion. And you say that shit with just glee, smile, smirk, and like you standing on righteousness. Remember what you say. Because again, as we've seen before prior to this karmatic shit, y'all don't believe in that. Creator about to show y'all something. You don't see where y'all at. You don't see where it's coming from. You think because I'm stockpiled with bombs, I'm stockpiled with guns, I got all this. But what did it tell you? No weapon for or shall prosper against him and his. Take that how you want to take it. So she goes and says they want to live in a fake world. We already live in a fake ass world. What fake world are you talking about? See, fake is truth to them. Truth is fake to them. Lie is truth to them. You say a fake world. No, we live in your world, and your world to us is fake as fuck. Because you some fake ass people. You pretend to be, and people who don't know you think that, but in all actuality, y'all phony fake ass people. That's why you do all the shit that you do. And so you said, as Trump always say, now you're going to try to put, well, see, the president said this. You don't get to do do-overs. Remember them words. You don't get to do a do-over. Remember the choices and the chances you got now, because you won't get a do-over. These are your own words. The comedic energy and the spirit will charge you with the same shit you saying. You don't get a do-over. See, the scripture had told you at one time that Jesus had a conversation with Nicodemus. And with Nicodemus, he said, how can a man be born again? He said, unless a man goes back to where he originally came from and go back come out the original way, he can never be born again. You cannot do over what's been done to y'all. But you had a chance to redeem yourself by doing right. You've been given the chance, and remember your words. You do not get a do-over. Then she goes on and says, she quote, you won, we lost, that's that. Describing world politics. You won. What is she talking about? Barack Obama? We lost? Then we won, you lost, that's that. And that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. Okay. So that's just the way it is. Those are your words. Remember, them your words. Them the words that you speak. Them the words that you say. And y'all feel like karma has no bearing on you and your existence. And yet wonder why certain things are happening only to you and yours. You understand that the natural element, which is the provider of energy, light, existence on this planet, has to have something negative towards you. You have to use something, as you say, in a fake world. You have to use fake things to exist in this fake world. But the only thing fake here seems to be, might be yourself. Because if it was natural, you wouldn't need that. If it was natural, you would have the heart to know compassion. Let me remedy this because it's been out of hand. But see, the fake is you. And see, the problem is when you walk past a mirror, you don't see yourself. And so you say these things as if like you was being smart. But everything got an expiration date. Everyone and you will stand before on your own. And you have to put your heart with the feather. And insufficient. Well, I can say, well, I already got the devil heads up. How you know that's real? Dante's Inferno. I'm pretty sure you read, right? Dante's Inferno, read it. Maybe that's not what you think it is. So you're going to have to deal with what you wish you would rather say evolution. You'd rather say I was a trilobite that turned a fish, that walked to the land, that turned to this, and evolved and came out from you. And all right, go ahead and steal all that shit if you want. Time ticking. Y'all on deck and don't see it. All right, so let me go on to the next part here, right? I just got to tell like a TI is, y'all. That's just what I'm here to do. That's just what I'm here to do. That's why I'm the most hated show in the black corner of the internet. I ain't racist. Nah, I'm just telling them like a TI is. This is what it is. If it's not what it is, show me that I'm making this shit up. You won't be able to do it. You see it right before your eyes. You're seeing it with your own word. You're seeing it with your video. So how am I racist? I'm just breaking the news to my family and my peoples. And those of your people who might want to hear the truth, who might want to see and try to learn to get the reflection of themselves and see, I don't like what I see. Let me change myself. Because again, you don't get a do-over. You only get this one time. And one time only. Moving on. All right, so let me do this. Let me do this. See what this is. Oh yeah, we could do this. We could do this. Do this, and then I got this here. What else I got in here? Let me see what I got over here. What is this? Let me see what this is. All right, so let me set this up for you. Right. All right, so again, like I said, there's nothing wrong with having people you fraternize, socialize with, of other ethnicities of people, other ethnicities of people, right? Due to the simple fact of the place we live and the so-called diversity of it, it would be, not good for you to not be able to, have some kind of fraternization with people of other things and learn different things about each other. But when you time to go home, you're going to go where you live and they're going to go where they live, right? So sometimes we go in social settings. Alcohol could be served. Alcohol has, it's called spirits. These would be called the spirits, right? It has a spirit in it. And, it can bring truth out of you, right? It's called truth serum. It can swell you up, put the Superman on your chest. You think you whooped the goddamn world, right? Well, I seen this story here, right? And again, like I said, you can do what you want to do. Just take heed to the message or take heed to the situation. And you have to be cautious and careful here because you never know. I mean, we live in a day and time where people they acting who they is. So check this out. I'll be right back.
Breaking developments in the mysterious disappearance of that college student in Utah. Police making a dramatic arrest and a grim discovery. Heavily armed officers arresting a suspect at his home in Salt Lake City. Authorities say they found the charred remains of Mackenzie Lewick in the backyard. The victim reported missing almost 2 weeks ago. Last seen here leaving the airport, taking a ride share to a park early in the morning. The police chief says phone records show her last communication was with the suspect. ABC's Clayton Sandell leads us off.
A missing persons case tonight becoming a murder case with a dramatic SWAT team takedown.
We are filing charges of aggravated murder, aggravated kidnapping, obstruction of justice, and desecration of a body in the homicide of Mackenzie Lewick.
The suspect, 31-year-old Ayoola Ajayi. Police say he and Mackenzie Lewick had been texting on June 17th, just before meeting up at this Salt Lake City park around 3 a.m.
Phone records show the location of their phones to be at Hatch Park, within less than a minute of each other.
Ajayi owns this house 5 miles from the park. Police searched it Wednesday night, carrying out bags of evidence and digging in the backyard, making a gruesome discovery where neighbors say he'd recently set a fire.
Charred material was located, which has now been determined to be female human tissue.
Ajayi's online profiles claim he works in IT, was a contractor for Goldman Sachs, and spent 6 months in the Army National Guard. Police are not talking about a motive or exactly how he and the 23-year-old Lewick knew each other. Investigators now following a digital trail of text messages, social media, and dating apps for clues.
This is one of the most difficult phone calls I've ever made, as both Greg and his wife Diana were devastated and heartbroken by this news.
And Clayton Sandell joins us live. Clayton, just a horrific discovery. We saw the police chief there emotional during that press conference, and he revealed at this point they're not certain the suspect acted alone.
That's right, Tom. The police chief said that this investigation is not over, and they want to know if that suspect acted alone or with somebody else's help. He also said the suspect claims he didn't know Mackenzie Lewick, but had several photos of her on his phone. Tom.
Clayton Sandell with those new developments tonight. Clayton, thank you.
All right, so we see that individual. Her name was Mackenzie Lewick, right? Lewick. Seemed to be dealing with a black man. Ayoola. My brother's name is Ayoola Ajayi, right? Seeing like somehow they kind of get on these, on this social media. Dating app kind of thing. One thing led to another. Looked like it was a booty call because it was like 3 a.m. We're going to meet up, right? I mean, 3 a.m., what else you going to do? If I call you, 1:32 in the morning, and we talking about we're going to hook up, I mean, you want to go get something to eat? Shit, it's already 3 in the morning. We could go to the Pancake House, right? We could go do something like that, right? But I mean, pretty much, it's one of them type of calls, right? So we see that somehow there had been some back and forth between each other. They're gonna go and investigate through text message, social media page, and all that stuff. And they came up with some things, and then they come to find that they had been searching for her, and then come to find out that they did find the charred remains of the body. Now again. This individual was an IT tech at Goldman Sachs. So this cat here was, kind of in corporate America, right? He's working with the corporate America aspect. So, and he's, with his name, he's not Black American, right? Not Black American. And again, they try to say that he didn't act alone in doing what he did. Now, we don't know why that ended up happening being the way it is. Again, people got to be careful out here, because you don't know who you might be calling up Baba Yaga, right? Texting, put it this way. Some people are very, good at texting words and smooth like that, right? But in person, they social misfits. They're not good dealing with a person face to face. But on the texting, boy, they smooth and butter, right? But that can be a lure because again, just words in which you're being just flowing, ebb and flowing with, right? So somehow he picked the combination to get her to be confident enough to come meet him at 3 a.m. I don't know, had they seen each other before? Because I can't see the first time you hook it up with somebody is 3 a.m. You get what I'm saying? So there had to be previous encounters with each other, but this was the one that all this went down. At least that's what they're saying the last time her phone was to him. According to what he said, according to what they said, he said he ain't know her. But they said, well, we did see a picture of her on your social media page. So, okay, we're going to have to investigate that and find out more. So we see that the chief there was very emotional. Had to call the parents, and, no one of the worst thing is in their mind is. Bad enough that they losing one of their peoples, but to lose and to be, nigga did this shit. Huh? And so you'll have some people who do this type of story. If you go on the internet, there's white guys that's all they do. These situations where a black person and a white person and something the black person and something go bad, that's what all they're promoting. To put in light. But see, I said the name, but you may attribute it to black Americans. Like a lot of times when we looked at over the history, a lot of times the stuff that be promoted that seemed to be criminal seemed to be black Americans. But a lot of times it was not our people. Now again, I'm not trying to make a distinction between like we're not family oriented as tied to the continent. I'm just saying as me and my descendancy and my people who are here, again, as I said, black is not a color, black is the tribe. We get stigmatized with everything negative in this land. A lot of times it don't be us. That's why it's come to this now time in history where we're trying to self-identify that we are this and others are that. To make some distinction, not to say we separate, but to distinct, so that way when you hear that name, you know he's not one of us. But white folks might be just angry, and then if you're going to lash out, you grab anybody. No, check the pedigree and the name and then know who you getting. See? Don't just grab anyone. We got a history long enough that does show that simple things that people lied and come to find out they had nothing to do with it. And y'all got a lot of karmatic energy based on that in itself, right? So the chief was very emotional about it because he got to tell that what had took place, right? So again, did what happened to her have anything to do with in her family historically that people have done things that the karma falls on you? Somebody innocent, not even doing anything, just trying to be, maybe trying to, break the cycle of not trying to be like people before me and people are people and I'll date with it. But see what's going to happen now, everybody in the family is going to start hating people of color due to what done took place here, right? And so because of that, that karma fell on her. No one deserves to die like that. Nobody. But I'm just saying, can shit keep going on and then shit don't fall on you? Is what it's saying, what I'm really saying. Can shit happen to good-hearted, good people that shit other people done did is the thing. And we have to say, unless you don't believe in that, you might say, it's a crock of shit. I might be more right than you think I'm crock of shit. You understand? So anyway, let's move on. Got a couple more left. Get it over with, right? So check this one out. Again, is this what this situation merited right here, right? Is this what happened here? Is that what this happened here? Again, I actually was supposed to do this one before that one, so you kind of gave me that one, right? Which is to say that, again, hanging with people, going somewhere, drinking, and things happen. But in this case, not only be a man and a woman like that situation. That wasn't even what that was. But this one is this. Listen to this story, and we'll be right back. Check this out.
Sean, Carolina, was just out having a drink with a family friend when everything went wrong, and it was all caught on video. The video alone is tough to watch, and what the alleged attackers were yelling at Sean makes it even worse.
I honestly thought I was going to lose him. I wasn't sure really that it was the whole racial slurs and everything until later that day at the hospital when the video surfaced.
Here's the video Sean's wife Jamie is talking about that a witness shot Saturday morning. Jamie says that's her husband and his friend being attacked by two men. As the men finally leave, you can hear one of them yell, "You're dead," followed by a racial slur.
After they knocked him out, I continued to beat him. I mean, they just pounded on him like he was nothing. It made me angry, of course, you know.
Sean, a father of two, was rushed to the hospital with life-threatening injuries, and he's still in the hospital today. All over a fight between him and a guy that Jamie says was acting very different inside the bar.
The guy who did most of the pounding on him, he was buying my husband drinks and hugging him and acting like they were just the best of friends.
Jamie also says she does believe the attack was racially motivated.
I just want people to pay attention and quit thinking that color even matters. We're all made by the same person. We was all made to love each other.
Jamie says it's even more heartbreaking because her husband is one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet.
He's amazing. He goes above and beyond for family. It means everything to him.
Now the family has a GoFundMe page set up to help pay for those medical bills. You can find that link on our website, KFOR.com. Jacqueline.
All right, so it's their brother and Shawnee. Name is Sean Carolina. Look like went out with his partner. Let's go have a little drink at a little hole in the wall around the corner there. You know, go down there, you know, it's all kind of people up in there. We more in the modern time. We ain't racist. We like to drink with any and everybody, right? Like I said, you know, you have a good understanding. You know, when people start drinking, two different ways to look at it. People are going to be intoxicated, or people going to get a swelled up chest with an S on it. They swelled up. They whooping everybody, right? So what seemed a little strange to me was that, you know, the brother seemed to be taking drinks from the white dude. Not sure how she knew. Maybe the dude that was with her told her that's what had happened. So here it is, dude buying drinks for you, hugging all up on you, acting like he real nice. Sound like a setup, right? Let's see what happened at the end. You see how the video, they vicious they was, and they was tag teaming. And he beat this one up, then he switching other ones, they switching up and giving you, right? They both switching up on y'all, right? And so you seem to get the worst of it, because when I kind of looked at the video, it seemed like the other dude seemed like he might have been white too. So again, you know, I never understood how a black person who be the only black person among all white people and be comfortable with shit. You ever seen that shit before? Be the one black dude, be a whole bunch of white people, and he be comfortable as fuck and be all amongst them, and he don't think that ain't one of these motherfuckers got this depraved ass mind. Because, you know, you fuck around with them, they hot foot, and they do all this other bullshit anyway, so obviously you must like that kind of shit. But I'm just saying. So here it is, again, because your ADT, you know, the ADT was the defense mechanism, that defense mechanism we had, right? When you don't have the consciousness of awareness about, again, what's going on in this country, you know, people say, well, it's not, hey, I'm like this. I'm not the creator. It ain't my job. I'm gonna just tell you the story again with Lot, right? When Abraham was pleading with God about going to Sodom and Gomorrah and pleading, what could a righteous God like you could be? It could be 50 righteous. He said, there's not 50. It would be unthinkable you're a gracious God like you. It could be maybe 45. There's not 45 in there. You understand? Christ, I already know what it is. Now, these people want to sit here and want to haggle and try to say, well, everybody, you do that. You do that. That ain't for me to do. I just got to call like I see it. It's for them to fight and have their civil war amongst each other about how we ain't with them. Until then, look like got on the same uniform to me. You understand? Doesn't mean I hate. No, I'm just saying your awareness. You understand? Your frequency must always be a tension, because you let down your guard because he's buying you free drinks. Didn't see the setup coming. In his whole heart, the whole time, you know what I'm saying? He's slipping the Mickey on you. got you where you're square, can't be protected. You intoxicated, he's swelling up. Got his boy, let's get this now, huh? And what was it all about? It's because everything that's happening in this country about reparations and all this stuff. And here you walking around here having no clue about none of this shit. Because why? I don't hate nobody. You know, black people, I don't hate nobody. You ain't got to hate nobody. They hate your ass. It ain't about whether you. It's not about how you feel, because nobody don't give a fuck about how you feel. You understand? So you have to take it from the perspective of what they coming from. Right? From where they coming from. And you have to have your ADT in order. All your surveillances in order. Otherwise, this is what happened. So why did he get the worst of it and the other dude didn't? Why they put so much, viciousness in about you? And like she was crying, and you can see what kind of woman he got, right? And the town he in, right? And you know what I'm saying? And they already got a lot of issues. They want to blame all their issues and their hardness about being white and not having the life that they thought they supposed to be, and seeing you and then want to lash out at you. So you became what? You became the heavy bag. And they got all that frustration out on you. And they felt good. He slept right before they got in the truck. Huh? Now you fight for your life in a coma and all this other shit. Due to the simple fact, oh no, I'm good. I'm good, dude. I'm good. You don't buy me no damn drink. No, I'm all good. You know what I'm saying? But you let your guard down. See? Took your kindness for weakness. Hopefully you pull through. And hopefully it's a lesson to be learned. Everything glitter ain't gold, as they say. So you have to be mindful about especially circumstances in the position and where we at today. There's a lot of people like, I don't want to focus on that race shit. You can do that if you want. As long as you stay in the compound that which is comfortable and more similar to you. But once you in other elements, you better have your ADT, better be up to date, and better have already had the system test long before you got there. Because otherwise, somebody may get your ass off the square, and that may be the last time. Feel me? Moving on. So, getting now to the end of this part here, because again, I'm trying not to do the show so long anymore, y'all. I'm going to start going like everybody else do. Start doing little shows. So, this part here is, well, let's do it like this. Right? I got one more reparations talk. Put that up for you. I got some more reparation news for you, right? And, like I said, it's the season. It's the talk of the talk. It is the thing that everybody knows, but some people just want to avoid it because, again, you're making me angry talking about that. Why would you be angry about something that's taking place and I have to live and been living for hundreds of years under the conditions of oppression? But you angry. Explain to me how that is so. Because you know rightfully, and then you know the possibility of what we should be getting, and that would make you angry because you know the minute they do that, I'm better than you. Is that what that's about? Now I'm equivalent to you? Or you have to now be respectful to me because now you have to say I have to consider you equivalent to me if I do this? Is that what this is all about? Because it seems like the politicians is where people say they want to take your grievance and put it on legislative, to put it on the books, to change the laws, right? That's what they say. Well, now when black people start to now unify and say, well, this is what we want. Here's the tangibles. This is what we want if you wanted us to deal with you. I don't want you to doing that. So here's the people that, again, that they say that you're supposed to be running with, regardless to whatever they're doing, you're supposed to do this. And now that you decide to say, hold on, slow up, wait a minute. We're thinking about this. We got some things we want to lay out and see if you want to do this. If not, then we're not fucking with you. Now look at the kind of talk they talk. Now check this out and be right back. Senate Democrat wish talks on reparations would go away. You know I'm going to say that again. Senate Democrats wish talk on reparations would go away. This story was done June the 26th, 2019, coming out of The Hill. And this is how it reads. Senate Democrats are not fans of legislation on reparations for slavery, which has become a hot topic in the 2020 presidential campaign. Democratic lawmakers acknowledge that slavery is a terrible stain on the nation's history, and that the African Americans were subjugated to unjust and racist law for decades after abolition. But the question of figuring out who should pay for economic harm accrued over hundreds of years is a political landmine. Senator Dianne Feinstein of California, the Senator Democrat on Judiciary Committee, says she understands why some thought leaders, such as author Ta-Nehisi Coates, are calling for reparations, but warn the issue is divisive. I understand why. I also understand the wounds that's open and the trials and tribulations it's going to bring about. Some things are just better left alone, and I think that's one of those things, she said. This is a major blemish on American democracy that has lasted for over 100 years now. She said of slavery and discriminatory laws that followed the Civil War. It's not going to change, and we have to learn from it, and I think we have. Many Democrats don't want to talk about whether reparations should be considered. No comment, said Senator Jack Reed, who punctuated his answer with a slice of his hand. Senator Ron Wyden said he was too busy to weigh in on the complex topics. I can't deal with a big issue when I'm on the fly, he said as he hustled to a meeting in the Capitol. Senator Patrick Leahy said, I saw something in the press about it. I haven't even looked at it. I'll be happy to look at it, he said. Support from reparations has steadily grown since June 2014 when Coates, as a writer for the Atlantic magazine, wrote his landmark essay, The Case for Reparations. The subject gained more prominence last week when Rep. Sheila Jackson Lee, Democrat of Texas, a member of the House Judiciary Subcommittee on the Constitution, Civil Rights and Civil Liberties, and sponsor of the House Reparations Measures, held a hearing on reparations at which Coates testified. On the campaign trail, Senator Cory Booker has spearheaded the push for reparations. He is the sponsor of the Senate bill that would set up a commission to study the impact of slavery and discrimination against African Americans and make recommendations on reparation proposals to the descendants of slaves. Booker's bill has 14 Senate co-sponsors, including 5 presidential hopefuls: Senator Christine Gillibrand, Kamala Harris, Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, and Michael Bennet. But many other Democrats are keeping their distance. I haven't seen it. I don't have any opinion about it, Senator Bob Menendez said on Booker's legislation. Other Democrats say they need to learn more about it. Still learning about it, but open to ideas. Certainly, I find Cory to be one of the more thoughtful people I've ever known, said Senator Martin Henrich. Senator Mark Warner said of Booker's bill, I'm looking at the legislation on setting up a commission, but have not taken a position on it. One Democrat senator said reparations is one more issue getting touted on the campaign trail that Republicans will likely use as an ammunition against other Democrat candidates in 2020, along with proposals such as Medicare for all, the Green New Bill, and free college education. The lawmaker who requested anonymity said Democrats would be better off focusing on topics that unite voters and where they have an advantage over Republicans, like protecting people with pre-existing medical conditions. In a presidential campaign where people are eyeing different constituencies, based on where they're trying to run and where they're trying to do well and break through the pack. That makes a lot of sense. I don't think that has much of a chance in Congress. Wherein, said the senator, if you're just talking presidential Democrat primaries, there's interest in these issues, and hearing it explained. When you start getting into specific Senate races, I don't know how that helps. The contrast of a presidential campaign being for something and a Democratic Senate campaign or candidate not taking a position. The lawmaker said, adding that Republican Senate candidates are going to have a lot of issues like that to pull from the presidential campaign. The lawmaker expressed concern that with more than 20 candidates running for the Democrat nomination, the party message is going to be all over the place. Central for us is trying to get one message and be disciplined, because the president is going to be incredibly disciplined. The senator said they're starting messages on things that haven't even accomplished, but making it sound like they accomplished things. Senator Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says his strategy to keep GOP control to the Senate is to tie Democrat candidates to liberal proposals being pushed by Harris, Booker, Warren, Sanders, and other White House hopefuls. McConnell told reporters in April that Republicans need to say to voters, if you're uncomfortable with things like the Green New Deal and Medicare for None, the best way to avoid that is to have a Republican Senate. McConnell last week dismissed reparation as unworkable. I don't think reparation for something that happened 150 years ago, for whom none of us is currently living are responsible, was a good idea, he said. It's a good issue for Republicans because it unites the GOP and divides the Democrats. Senator Tim Scott, the only African-American Republican in the Senate, last week dismissed reparations as a non-starter. In an interview with The Hill last week, President Trump indicated he's not in favor of reparations. I think it's a very unusual thing. Trump said of the possibility of reparations, there's been a very interesting debate. I don't see it happening. No. National Republican Senatorial Committee Chairman Todd Young said reparations is targeted squarely at the most liberal voters. I think it will excite the far left on the Democratic Party, which is exactly what it's designed to do, he said. Senator Christopher Coons, a co-sponsor of Booker's bill on reparations, said slavery has left a long and real lasting impact that needs to be addressed. But he also acknowledged there are real complexities around confronting this issue. Figuring out a very viable path forward in terms of who would be compensated and how and from what source of funding is a very thorny question, he said. All right, so let's get into this here, right? So see, the Senate Democrats wish talk of reparation would go away. Ain't that something? What do you mean you want it to go away? Well, who of your demographics when it comes to voting, why would you want that to go away when the constituency that is the one that votes for you, the populace, that is the bulk of your party? I won't say, we say second in bulk, right? I'm not sure if you're splitting with white folks, as there's more Republican white folks than there's Democrats. But we're just going to say it's pretty much been a given, at least they try to make it appear, that black folks are only just Democrats, right? And so for eons now, you just been getting the vote. They haven't held your feet. Matter of fact, let's take that back. Let me take that back. I can't say eons because we only started voting in 1965, right? 54 years. So if we say 4 divided into 54 is how many, y'all? About what? Let's say 4. And the 55, 4 divided by 5 is 1. 4, 1 remaining. Means that's 14. So we're going to say 13. So we're going to say black folks have only been in 13 presidential elections. Matter of fact, I won't even say 13. Because if you came in at 65, right? So that means the first election was 68. So from 68, so from 68 to now it was about, what's that, 40, 50, let's see, okay, right? So from 68, it's 51 years. For that, in 51 years, is going to be what? About 12, right? 12 and we're about to come on the next one, right? So we only been in 12 elections since 65 being able to vote. 12 elections. Huh? 12 elections. And out of 12, you had one person y'all put in there talking about, see, we gave you Barack Obama. 12 elections. But we've been here for hundreds of years, going on 400 years. Right? And now that we're getting on to number 12, 13, and black folks decide that we're not going to go with the same old script, that we're going to try to play politics the same way everybody else playing politics, and to say the thing that we put on the table, that we said that is an issue that we want to put on the ticket, nobody wants to talk about that. Oh, hell no, not that. No. What the fuck is y'all talking about? No. Would you please stop talking about that? Why? Is it not a real issue? Does it not have validity? Does it not have merit? Is it the thing that y'all keep saying America's sin? Well, we're trying to help you to, take a little of the atonement. Going all the way back. We're trying to give you not a lame animal. We're trying to give you a decent animal so that you can sacrifice before the Creator. Maybe take a little of the conscience off of your ass. It's not going to cure you at all. It's just going to make you feel a little bit in your mind, a little better than you felt yesterday. And as you work towards making it better, then you might have a good argument. But until then, you ain't got one. But you want to tell us that in 12 going on 13 elections, we can't talk about this. 13 elections. And the funny part is, y'all have to get renewed every 25 years for us to even, ain't that a bitch? After all we've been through. Even though the 15th Amendment said shit, we can't be abridged, none of that. But yet you still do that shit anyway to threaten us, right? Yeah, to threaten us and shit, right? So we see Democratic lawmakers, they admit, they say, okay, we know that slavery is a terrible stain on the nation's history. We all, like self-destruction, we all agree tonight, we all agree that slavery is a terrible stain on the nation's history. A stain? Wait a minute. Stain? A stain to you, but we the stain. Now what's worse, the stain on your shirt or the stain itself? Right? See, you want some damn Scotch Guard or you want some Tide or some bleach to get rid of the stain. But to get rid of that means to get rid of us. The stain can't go away until, there been some kind of remedy of what it is you need to get rid of the stain. And we're only the ones that's going to be able to tell you what that is. You're not going to be able to tell us what that is, right? And so they said, well, the African Americans were subjugated. We agree to that. We all agree that you black Americans you were subjugated in unjust racist laws decades after abolition. All right. So that means we're at the right place to bring this to. You're talking about laws, unjust laws. Well, what a better place than to go than to the damn, legislative body, where laws and bills are passed. What better place for us to take our grievance about our injustices? But the old saying, they say, well, figuring out who should be paid for economic harm, figuring out who should pay for economic harm, figuring out who should pay. Well, who all benefiting? That's the whole thing. Y'all think just because, okay, ain't none of us was there at the time, but because of the continuance and seeds being planted, people being coming, The game ain't changed because we're all tied into the same damn chain, right? We're all tied into that which came first, the chicken or the egg, right? That whole bullshit, right? We here, due to the simple fact whether the chicken or the egg was first, we're still the continuous in the line of process, which you are too. And so if your benefit today, your family is straight, our family fucked up, this is the same game. Ain't nothing changed. Ain't no motherfucking thing changed. Only thing is you trying not to be a culpable for the bullshit. So you saying, well, we got to figure out the economic harm accrued over hundreds of years. Who should pay for it? Guess what? Wait a minute. The government is not a person. See, this, let me say this. See, this is a little slick trick shit. Well, if it's the government, legislative body that administer these so-called unjust laws and racist laws and redlining and all this shit, and you know what I'm saying? We can't go to nobody specifically and say you owe us, because again, the government is just the institution. It has people who are voted in, and so we have to say, based on the simple fact that I just said, 13. We only been in 13 elections, right? Prior to the 13 elections, who are the people who've been voting for the people who put in legislators and laws against our black ass? Guess who's going to be the bear holder of that? Y'all is. Stop playing. You, whether you voted for or not, as a tribe of people, as a nation of people who y'all call yourself an umbrella as white Americans, wherever that might be, them was y'all peoples. They the ones left you the debt of the insurance beneficiaries of what now the bill has come due. It is now time for you to, again, you become accomplice. You know the crime. You admit to knowing the crime, but you will not do the remedy, right? You're not trying to do the remedy. And so you're trying to play the game. Oh, this is a political landmine. No, I don't think it's not even up for debate. It was the government that did it. It's the government that's going to get it out. The problem is the people don't understand that it is the government was the institution used by the people who were voted in to do the dirty work, and then try to say, look, nobody, who do we go to? Is it no? Who been voting the people in over all this time up until 1965? In 54 years, you can talk about 54 years, but prior to that, where all that shit come from? Who are the culprit? They look like you. They are descendants of people that you are descended from. And even if you came here new, you still benefited from it. So that's easy to. All of you all are culpable. That ain't hard to figure out. You pay for everything else. You can pay for everything else. So they said that Ta-Nehisi Coates was a thought leader. he put something, presented it. We thought it was good writing, and but we're warning that shit is divisive. Yes, it's divisive because again, you don't want to rectify what's been done. You're sitting there saying the same ass shit. We won, you lost, that's it. Get over it. Huh? But yet you like to look and present yourself as outstanding, upkeep people. But that's not what the record is ever going to show. It's not how you're presenting yourself. It's what they say, ain't what I say is what I do. So I come in here talking a lot of shit, but I ain't doing no harm to nobody. Other than the fact that the words that I say may be like a rock thrown in a crowd of dogs, and it's hitting the one because, again, that facts does like a rock. But I ain't going out to, do nothing personally, physically to nobody, right? So in the case here, your thing is you want to present yourself as good, wholesome humanitarians and all this stuff, but your actions don't match what you present yourself as. It just don't. And so here's some of the people who probably Democrats say shit like this. I understand why. I understand the wounds that is open and the trials and tribulations. If you understand that, what's the problem? What is your problem? What's the problem? If you can acknowledge that you understand, you know why, you know the wounds that open in the trial of tribulation, what needs else be to say but to get it done, right? But they say, well, it's some things are just better to just let it alone. Leave it alone, because why? It's going to anger you. Why does it anger you? Why don't somebody white please tell us why talking about reparations and remedy to what they're going to do, why does that anger you? Let us know. Can y'all do that for us? Tell us why. Huh? Why is it that it is that you don't want to do it? This is a major blemish on American democracy. It has lasted for over 100 years now. 100 years? We're going on 400 years. We talking about 100 years. See, you try to lowball and make it seem like it's not as long as it's been. You don't want to say the truth. You mean in 400 years that y'all still not even trying to talk about? You didn't put it on 100 years. And then have the mitigated gall. It's not going to change, and we have to learn from it, and I think we have. No, you haven't. It's not going to change. What? Are you double talking? It's not going to change. We have to learn. Who have to learn from it? And what you mean, and we think we have? You learned what? What did you learn? We can't tell. It's all the same shit to us. We can't tell it ain't changing what? Oh, Obama, a change you can believe in? That was fool's gold. That shit was fool's gold. Huh? That shit was fool's gold. So, many Democrats don't want to talk about whether reparations should be considered. Then guess what? Black people saying, fuck it, don't worry about it, don't vote from us. Figure out another way how your ass gonna win, right? Figure out another way. So, So, you asked a couple of Democrats, like United Ron Wayne. He said, well, I was too busy to weigh in on a complex topic. Complex, but nobody want to talk about it because it's complex. See, if it's not like it's some bullshit, that would be different. But it's complex and it's real. And it has a long and lasting effect that's been on this damn country. But we won't deal with it, because I know when I start talking about that, I'm going to be out of office. That's what it's all about, y'all. White folks ain't going to do it. Remember I put the stats last time. 68% they said these other Americans, which we know was immigrants. Shit, 90% white Americans. Then took 30% of black people. Well, now we know why. Don't we know why? Based on that stat that you took out of 2016, do a 2019 one and see what you say now. I bet it'd be 100% all the way up across, except for the black part. That may be a little lower than 30, or might be even more. You never know. But the other numbers gonna go higher. Ain't nobody trying to see you cure us some shit. Y'all hate us. I mean, we just act like we don't know that shit. And everybody else who's looking for this, pat you on the back and feel like you something. They playing with you. They showing it right out in their damn hand. They showing them give a fuck about you. They wish you just go the fuck away is really what they saying. So basically, if you want to see the rest of this article, ain't nothing else said that shit. It is what the fuck it is. They is who they is, right? Ain't nothing else to be said about that shit. They is who they is, man. Right? That shit is just what it is. And so obviously this nation is coming to a crossroad. That's all that's happening. You thinking bringing other people to replace us and then just keep us and try to keep us hush and not bring up the topic is going to remedy. Otherwise, then you got some shit that seems like some shit that's come like what happened in the 40s and World War II and all. It's like that's where y'all really want to try to do, right? Let's just keep it 100. You're thinking that this is the way you're going to, this is the only remedy you got for us. If you keep talking about this, it's the only remedy we got for you. Well, put it like this. You do what you want to do. But like I say, you don't get the last say on this. You may get the first say on it, but you don't get the last say on it. And that's the thing y'all can't see. You, as I say, you don't get a do-over. Don't y'all see y'all at the crossroad? This is your last time. This is it. No time in history can y'all say has this ever been like this. It's here. It's in your face. You have the chance. If you don't do it, there is no do-over. And I'm your whiteologist, Mr. Blows Your Minds, coming with this show. I want to thank those who sat here and listened. Make your comments. If you disagree, write it out. Matter of fact, I offer anybody who has disagreed, and especially if you white, I'll give you the phone number and we can have a show with me and you having this conversation. If you would like to do that, send me the message and we could do that. Okay? To the next show, stay black, love, and peace and all that. And to the next show, y'all, it is what it is. Stay black, vigilant, and stay up. With love.
Portions of the following program may be unsuitable for younger or more sensitive viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Remember, the enemy has only images and illusions, behind which he hides his true motives. Destroy the image, and you will break the enemy.
I'm here to tell you tonight that the businessmen, the mayor of this city, the police commissioner of this city, and everybody in the white power structure of this city must take a responsibility for everything.
Can you feel it? Can you feel it?
Luther and I, and everyone in this arena tonight, are unified by the same great American values. We're proud of our country. We respect our flag. Wouldn't you love to see one of these NFL owners, when somebody disrespects our flag, to say, get that son of off the field right now, out, he's fired. He's fired!
Race is when you use your power and influence to subject people into inferiority. Utterances can't be racist.
Look around you, man. They own this shit. They own this couch you sitting on, them shoes you got on your feet, this building, this school, this country, you. We're behind enemy lines, dog.
So you must first of all remember that this system was not originally designed with black people in mind. Right on, and it definitely was not prepared for black people to, in the end, begin to demand their rights and an equal share in this country which they've died for. Right on. Hey, and we definitely are not going back to Africa.
In the church, we used to sing the song, "Good news, the chariot is coming." While you sit here today, knowing that you have come to hear good news, you must realize in advance what good news for you might be bad news for somebody else. What good news for the sheep might be bad news to the wolf.
They say, oh, things are getting so much better for you. In 1849, it was hitting blacks on the head 100 times a day. In 1990, they hit them 48 times a day. Isn't it better? Oh, it's got to be better. You're saying 52 blows.
The only purpose of most black Americans on earth today is to destroy.
I think that's noble. Italians love Italians. When Irish love Irish. But when a nigga loves a nigga, it's an unpardonable sin. They have blood in their hands. When we say they have blood in their hands, we are not saying him, George Bezos, went and killed. But white people colonized us. They dispersed us. They enslaved our people. They sucked our economy dry. They are still sucking it dry even today. That's white people. Tony Blair, George Bush, Napoleon Bonaparte, Leopold, Adolf Hitler, Benjamin Netanyahu. All white people, they are the same. They are racist and they are full of hate.
I've been waiting for you. You have many questions, and though the process has altered your consciousness, you remain irrevocably human. Ergo, some of my answers you will understand, and some of them you will not. Concordantly, while your first question may be the most pertinent, you may or may not realize it is also the most irrelevant.
Why am I here?
Our world is coming crumbling down.
The coons are coming.
You got to understand that white America has an uncanny way of making the victim the victimizer. Excuse me, master, for putting my head in the way of your club. Not that your club is brutalizing my head and putting hickeys on it. My head got in the way of your free swing and broke your shiny stick, and I want to apologize for that.
Your life is the sum of a remainder of an unbalanced equation inherent to the programming of the Matrix. You are the eventuality of an anomaly which, despite my sincerest efforts, I have been unable to eliminate from what is otherwise a harmony of mathematical precision. While it remains a burden assiduously avoided, it is not unexpected and thus not beyond a measure of control, which has led you inexorably here.
There are more connections in the human body than there are stars in the galaxy. We possess a gigantic network of information to which we have almost no access.
Matrix is older than you know. I prefer counting from the emergence of one integral anomaly to the emergence of the next, in which case this is the 6th version.
5 ones before me. 3, 4. There are only 2 possible explanations. There were 5 ones before me. Either no one told me, or no one knows.
Precisely. As you are undoubtedly gathering, the anomaly is systemic, creating fluctuations in even the most simplistic equations.
Control me! I'm gonna smash you to You can't make me do anything like trick.
Choice. The problem is choice.
Let us remember that we are not brutalized because we're Baptists. We're not brutalized because we're Methodists. We're not brutalized because we're Muslims. We're not brutalized because we're Catholics. We're brutalized because we are black people in America.
Because white people made him to be what he is. They made him to look evil, because that's their role, to make all of us black people to look evil and to hate ourselves. I can't hate.
You're a nigga till you die. If you're a poor nigga, you're a poor nigga. If you're a rich nigga, you're a rich nigga. But you never stop being a nigga. And if you get to be educated, you're just an educated nigga.
I'm told every day I'm on air that I'm racist because I call out racism. That is maddening to me, and I'm crying about it because it's crazy.
So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is teaching you and I and trying to tell the white man to get this powder keg out of his house. Let the black man separate from his house. Let the black man have his own house. Let the black man have his own land and his own property.
I thought the bitch was white! Damn it! I thought the bitch was white!
That's true.
I think that white people are so guilty, knowing what they've done to black people, that they feel if the deeds were reversed, they would hate the black man if he had done the same thing to them. So it's actually, it reflects a guilt complex on the part of whites when they ask us, do we hate them? And if you notice, Uncle Sam has formed a habit of going all over the world. He calls it the ugly American, or the American image. He thinks that everybody hates him because it's a guilt complex. And if you think that if you are worried about Europeans hating you, and they're your allies and your cousins, well, naturally it would follow for you to think that Negroes in this country would hate you, especially in light of what has been done to black people in this country by white people.
Now, check it out. The white ball dominates everything, right? Knocks the shit out the yellow ball, the red ball, right? And the game's over when the white ball drives the black ball completely off the table.
But you have to see that all of this is hypocrisy.
I love Malcolm. Malcolm called me the Sunday that he died. I was working Basin Street East. He said, "Brother Greg, you coming by today?" And I said, "Malcolm, I love you." And I said, "I love you so much, I don't even want to take a chance to be there." He said, "What do you mean, Brother Greg?" I said, "Well, I close tonight, Sunday night at Basin Street East." And I said, "But I had my wife book me a flight into Chicago at 8 o'clock this morning, and I'm going to Chicago, and I had way beneath my salary booked me into a college about 10 miles from the airport. And I'm going to go there and speak this afternoon, and I'm going to stay there until they tell me you dead." Because I'm not going to let this government get two of us for the price of one. And I'm going to call Adam Clayton Powell when I finish talking to you and beg him not to come there. Because today, the United States government is going to get you.